First question, please. And wait for the mic, if you would. Thank you.
Is it possible to start?
Thank you.
As a man interested in criminalistics, you have possibility to look into future. What's about tomorrow match result? Thank you.
About the result, well, I don't know about the result. I know what the game will be very tough for us, but they are anyway. I think that Moldova played strongly. They conceded a poor goal against Serbia early on, lost the ball on the halfway line, conceded, but they played very strongly during most of the game. But a little bit disheartened when they conceded the third goal. But overall, it will be a tough game for us.
Okay. Anyone else? Next question, please.
Martin, just in terms of just nuts and bolts, just any update on any player injuries? Is everybody okay? Shane Long just the other night came off. I think he's okay. Just generally, in terms of everybody available for selection.
Yeah, obviously Robbie's missing. Robbie Brady is missing because of concussion. Jeff Hendrick is suspended, and Shane is fine.
Patrick?
Yeah. Martin, have you had a chance to look back at the Georgia game since it finished?
Yeah.
Obviously, straight afterwards, you admitted the team could have played better, certainly in that first half. How do you feel about it now?
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, I thought we didn't play well enough in the first half, and we improved in the second half because we put a little bit more pressure on the opposition. And Seamus comes up, makes and scores a great goal for us to win the game. It was a tough evening for us, but I think that we think we can play better than that, and we hope to try and do that tomorrow evening if we can.
Seamus, you spoke afterwards about the half-time rollicking, I think you said. What changed it for you? Was it what the manager said? Was it tactics, something Roy Keane said? Or was it, as a group, you got it together?
A bit of everything. Look, the manager let us know it wasn't good enough at half-time, but as players in there ourselves, we knew it was nowhere near good enough, and we definitely had to improve. And I think we were lucky to come in without conceding a goal, and we came out in the second half and we're better and created some more chances. But we knew as individuals that it wasn't good enough at half-time.
Martin, obviously there's a couple of enforced changes, but can you say whether you're looking at other changes beyond that?
No, we'll see how training goes now and see how the players are. Obviously, haven't had much time to recover. Some of those players who played the full game will do a little bit tonight, not very much. And those other ones who haven't played will do a bit of a more fuller training session. That'll be fine. But we'll see how everyone is after the session.
Martin, Jeff Hendrick and Robbie Brady were two of your emerging stars in the summer there. They leave a big gap to plug now. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, we probably it will be a blow to us, the two of them out at the same time, but that's the way it goes. So we've other players to come in, and hopefully they will fill those gaps for us and go and perform.
Martin, there's so long since been a school of thought that Ireland play better against the better nations, the bigger teams. To that end, are you worried or concerned, or do you fear a similar performance tomorrow night as you got during the first half on Thursday? Is that something to be guarded against?
Well, I think what's lost in this here is that we actually won the game, albeit a piece of brilliance from Seamus. And the 3 games that we played against Georgia, I've said this before, we know this because we played them, I think it was within a year and a half or whatever it is. And the games were difficult for us, but we're not the type of team that's going to wipe the floor with people. We have to fight for everything. We know that ourselves, yeah. And tomorrow night will be a big test again for us. It's not the idea of you thinking that we don't. It's not a case of raising ourselves against the best opposition. Everybody goes through these periods. Even teams like For instance, Portugal. Portugal won the competition, went out and then lost to Switzerland. But and things like this happen. So we have to try and raise ourselves again for this, and it's a big game for us. And obviously, the result is the most important thing. We can play better. We know that. We did this in France. It's only a couple of months ago since we played brilliantly against Sweden, brilliantly against Italy, beating Italy. Should have beaten Sweden in the game, and for a long period had France under. Well, you would have to say they were extremely concerned about us. There's a team that went on to the final in their own stadium. So those are a couple of months ago. So I think that we've played 2 games in this. We've gone to Serbia and drawn against Serbia, which is a top-class side. We haven't played very well at home in a game, and I think that that can happen. I think that these things are forgotten about during the course of a first half.
Martin, given how much the performance improved just after half-time, and the players have talked about the rollicking that you gave them at half-time, is there a concern that there is a little bit of a lack of leadership actually out on the pitch, that it took 3/4 of an hour and it took them facing you for it to improve?
No, not at all. I have to do my job as well too, like everybody else. And the players, who are the most important people, I'd have to do their jobs. And I think I think it has been here a sort of a togetherness that we've had over the last couple of seasons. We did qualify for a competition, and the players now know the expectation is high. That's good. I'm pleased at that. I'm pleased with it. I'm delighted with the expectation being higher. Then we have to try and live up to that ourselves.
Daniel?
Martin, you just mentioned you're assessing the players from Thursday. Can I just ask how James McCarthy is? That was his first game in some time, and how you felt he came through it, because I would presume with Robbie and Jeff out, he'd be particularly important tomorrow.
Yeah, with the things that happened during the course of the game, obviously with the injury with Robbie, there might have been a stage where I thought about James might not get through the game itself, which would have been understandable. But he was able to do that, and that was good. So he's had no ill effects from it, and that game should bring him on. Although I do think that the second game probably, like everything else, is a quick turnaround. But he's not feeling too bad.
Martin, given John and Shane played almost the entire game the other night, Adam Rooney wasn't on the bench the other night. Sorry, John Walters and Shane Long. And again, the quick turnarounds. Do you have to maybe look at putting Adam Rooney on the bench there? I know James has played there before, but just in terms of if the...
We'll see. I'll have a look at it. I'll see how the players come through this evening. John hasn't started regularly for Stoke, and just in recent weeks, Shane hasn't started regularly for Southampton. So, but I think they've come through it. Obviously, Shane came off towards the end. It was a wee bit worrying. But he came off. He's said he's okay, and that's, well, obviously, considering our circumstances, that's good news for us. Owen?
Seamus, just with the 2 players out who would be threats for us, is there a concern that going into games like this, it is going to be more about grinding them out rather than winning games comfortably by 3 or 4 goals?
Look, ideally, we would like to win games comfortably, but at international level, I think you've got to earn the right to play initially, and we watched a little bit on this team already, and they press well, they work hard, so we've got to earn that right to play. Ideally, you want to be winning comfortably, but it's not always the case. And we've got a good group of lads in there. We've got a group of lads who are together, who I know for 90 minutes, whether it's going good or bad, that we'll be in the game and we'll help each other. And it's all about getting 3 points at the end of the day, and we'll be wanting to do that tomorrow.
Okay, last couple of questions, Patrick.
Earlier about leadership, and I know you've been asked a lot about Seamus since he took the armband. What kind of a guy is he to work with, and are you almost surprised by how well he seems to have embraced having the armband?
Well, I shouldn't really be talking about this with him here beside me, but he's well, first of all, he's an excellent footballer. He's been playing excellently now for Everton for quite some considerable time. I think that if you're asking to go from one team where you know the players every single day to step into a system here that essentially, it's probably, it can't be exactly the same as you're having at club level, so he has to make a few adjustments. His natural tendency is to get forward and attack, and it's great. Sometimes that is not happening at international level for one way or another. They might have a different system of play. So he's had to do all that adjusting, as have had all the other players as well too. So this idea you're stepping in, even though we've been together now for a couple of years, players, for instance, I'll just generalise here, might have a certain position to pick up in set pieces at club level and find out that they're in a different position here. So of course you have to concentrate on it. But if you're asking what Seamus has taken up the mantle of captaincy as if he was born to it. He's naturally he's a quiet enough lad in many aspects, but he's been terrific on the pitch. But he was terrific on the pitch anyway, even before he took the captaincy. You could still hear him. So it was. I thought it was a natural progression, and the two captains that I've had at international level have been. Obviously Robbie when he's been available, John when he's playing, and the chances are at this minute, and this is absolutely no disrespect to John being a few years older than Seamus. Seamus is hopefully going to be around a wee bit longer than John in that sense, but he's earned the right. And when he took the captaincy in France, he was brilliant.
Describe yourself, and it's a hard question to ask, but how do you describe yourself as a person? Because there's a nice interview with you today talking about not being into Louis Vuitton wash bags and Instagram. You do seem almost a bit old school, not your traditional modern footballer.
Oh, look, I've got Instagram and that. It's not that I'm not into it. I think the article today was more about younger players that I feel that they can get lost before they've even made it in the game, in terms of like getting caught up and following what other people do, in terms of, as I said, the wash bag was like tongue-in-cheek statement, but I mean, if you see someone else with it, you might feel the need, but as I said, you have to do your job on the pitch, you have to train well, and all that stuff, isn't really important. But unfortunately, I think some young players nowadays find that side of it is quite important. But I'm not against Instagram or wash bags or anything like that.
Martin, could I ask you, had you targeted 7 points from the first 3 games?
No, I think the games are tough. How can you? I've been working with you now for almost 3 years. I find that you could think that I could start making these sort of targets. The games are hard. They're really hard matches. You've known that there for 25 years. Yeah, these games are tough. They're really tough matches for us. They're tough. And ideally it would be great if we had everybody available. We don't have people available to us, so we have to make adjustments to the side. At international level, you're talking about top level football. So it's going to be hard for us. I hadn't targeted that at all. And in your mind, it's not as if it's not that you don't play the game over in your mind beforehand, but the game, the reality kicks in, and these games are hard. And we had a tough game out in Serbia, a tough game at home here, and I expect the same tomorrow night. Judging from the way they played against Serbia, you should have a look at it. The players can play, and I think Georgia showed that. Georgia showed that they have players who could play in other national sides.
Okay, last question is Emmett and then Neil, and that's it. Thank
you. Martin, just on that, you say about the Georgians, that they were impressive, and they've tested us very severely 3 times the last few times we've played them. Where are Moldova compared to Georgia? How do they compare them in terms of quality?
That's a difficult question for me to answer, I think, in terms of results. They didn't do so well at home in some of their matches in the Euros, but they went to Russia and got a result out there. So the game will be tough for us. It's a quick turnover. We've had to do the travelling, and Moldova have had that advantage here of staying in their own place now for the second game. So they haven't had 4.5 hour journeys back in. But listen, that's the nature of it. That's the way it's done. We knew that when the draw was made, and I won't be wanting to make that as an excuse anyway. It'll be a tough evening ahead of us. We want to be prepared for it.
Okay, very finally.
Martin, I'm not wishing to presuppose your team selection, but with Robbie and Jeff out, does he offer you some reassurance that if you wish, you can call on players that experience the Glenn Whelan and Wes Hoolan into the side?
I've got that absolutely. This will be Glenn played against Manchester United. He's been excellent for us during that time. So is Wes. So that's good. We've got some of our younger lads in the squad as well too, are itching to try and get a place in the team. And so I've got a few things to look at during the course of the next few hours.
Thank you very much.